and welcome to the No Taboo Woo Woo Show.
I'm Sandra Logan.
And I'm Gail Chisholm.
If you enjoy being a fly on the wall of deep and meaningful conversations between pals on all things spirituality, healing, and personal empowerment, then you have landed in the right podcast.
Enjoy today's episode.
Hello! Happy New Year, everybody!
I know, I was going to say, I was like, should we do, I mean, yes, it's Happy New Year for us. When this gets out there, it could be February.
Yeah, so whenever it finds you, hope you're having a good year.
Boys, January the 4th.
May the 4th be with you. It's mad to think how quickly 2025's gone. I genuinely can't get over it that we're in a new year already, but that's time for you.
It's mad, isn't it? It's I did find myself getting a little caught up with, I mean, I've sort of set intentions and wishes, and I did I'm still in the process of doing the kind of the 13 wishes thing.
Oh, I saw that from the Glasgow Witch on TikTok. Yeah. I love her. I would like to have her on the pod someday. She's so cool.
She's got very nice energy.
Oh, lovely vibes. Lovely.
So for a lot of people, they started it on the 21st of December, so the solstice.
So just for context, for anyone that hasn't heard of the 13 wishes, do you want to do a rundown of what it is?
I'm like,
I'm
not just chatting to you, I'm chatting to like all the listeners.
Yeah.
So the 13 wishes, I think it originates in Germany. Anyway, that's a by the by. And you set out 13 wishes or intentions for the forthcoming year, and they should be achievable. Like, it's not just like, I wish £5 million to land in my bank account. Like, it's not that. Because, and the reason for that is, so once you've written all your wishes and you put them in a little jar or something, is each night you release one to the universe and you trust that the universe will support and drive the fulfillment of said wish.
Yes.
But you do that over 12 nights, and the 13th wish is the one that you have to take responsibility for achieving in the forthcoming year, which is why it's important that your intentions or wishes are actually achievable. And that doesn't mean to say you can't have stretch in there, but like just wishing for £5 million to land in your bank account, like with no other context, isn't necessarily, unless you steal it, maybe something that you can actually achieve.
FYI universe, we would love for £5 million to drop into our bank account.
I mean, I can't lie, there is an abundance in there, like, obviously.
I'm curious, have you been looking, see when you take out your wish each night, have you been looking at it? No. See, I love that, because then you've got the element of surprise at the end to be like, oh.
So I did this last year, and I thought I had written down, because obviously you put your wishes onto a piece of paper, and then I couldn't find the one that, it's probably in a journal somewhere, that I was supposed to take responsibility for. So it'd be interesting if I find it and whether it actually happened or not. And then I forgot to write down my other wishes, so I couldn't tell you whether they came true or not. But this year, I actually wrote out my wishes first of all on a piece of paper in a journal. So I have all 13 of them so that I can actually go back. Because also, like, it's, you know, to remember, like, maybe at some point in the year, I'm like, oh, shit, that's that thing that I was, like, you know. And also when you're putting the intentions down as well, is that, you know, you're putting energy into them, even though you're trusting that the universe is going to co-create with you to bring it to fruition. And the one that, you know, you've got to really take charge of making that one happen. But, like, you know, the energy around the intentions you've set is still going to be there. The other thing that I've been doing with it is, so there was one of the ladies on my, Donna, hello Donna if you're listening, she set up a little WhatsApp group, and she's titled it with the German name, I can't pronounce it, I'm not going to lie. And so she's actually on Instagram as Enchanted Zen Tarot. And so it's like there's a whole bunch of tarot ladies on there, and she does it with so Janine, who taught me tarot, which is also how I met Donna. So Janine didn't do it on the 21st either. She said that the German tradition is to start your 12 nights of like your wishes or releasing them on Christmas Day. And because I was moving house and up and down to Scotland, I was like, I'm going to do it on Christmas Day. So most of the people in the group finished maybe today or yesterday, whereas I've still got 2 or 3 days. So the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. Yeah, so they will have finished now. But what Donna also said was to do card pulls for your months for each of the year. So you're
Okay.
almost doing a forecast for yourself for the year, or what so what I wrote down was what energy would serve me for that particular month, and I pulled an
Mm-hmm.
oracle card and a tarot card for each of them. And I actually did that all in one go. Some people chose to do that as part of their ritual to release the wish and be like, okay, what's the energy for January? I just did it all in one go.
Mm.
Because I bought a new oracle deck.
Ooh, another
Oh,
one.
it fit.
Another one.
Well, I was out doing
What's
some
the
Christmas
bag?
shopping, and I went into a lovely little the shop in Dunfermline where I can't remember, menopause brain.
The Crystal
Um,
Corner.
no, it wasn't the Crystal Corner. It was the other one where I bought my little book around
Oh yeah, the
pendulums.
archetypes. Mm.
But I went in there because my mum wanted a pair of earrings, and I know that they have crafted earrings. And actually, I think it's the partner of the co-owner. He makes jewellery, so I'd gone in there and I bought my mum a really beautiful pair of handmade earrings. But obviously, whilst I was there, I was having a look at their crystals. I bought some sage. Actually, I bought desert sage rather than white
Ooh,
sage. And then the oracle, it was the Wicca oracle. It was just calling to me.
cool.
Well, yeah. One synchronicity was really weird. Sam messaged me before, and I was chatting to her. So Minakai Sam, and she was like, I said, "Oh, I bought a new Oracle deck." She said, "What did you buy?" And I said, "Oh, it's the Wicca Oracle." And she literally sent me a picture going, "Me too." I was like, "That's weird that she."
That's cool.
I'm just. It's not as expected. I expected more vibrancy in the imagery. And I was like, I'm not sure how long this is going to be with me. That was my instant thought. But I
Okay.
used it for the energy of the months of the year. And I've actually been trying to pull Oracle, but it's downstairs. Anyhow, that's what I've been doing with my intentions.
That's
Um,
cool.
but I know we've been chatting separately around like a word of the year and word of the month, but
Mm,
I know there's been quite a lot on my TikTok around because obviously we've been in like the year of the snake and we're moving into year of the horse, but obviously that doesn't actually really start until what's the Chinese New Year in February. And
yeah.
then we talk about astrological New Year. So I've been kind of trying not to get caught up in January, like
Yeah.
New Year, New You. And I'm like, January, New Year, great energy, but like we're still in winter. Let's like,
Yeah.
you know, so what's your word of January?
So I've got a word of the year. I really like what you do with the word of the month though. So I might actually do that as well and have like almost like the overarching word and then like
Yeah.
break it down into different sort of themes is what I'm thinking. So I haven't nailed down one for January yet, but what I'm feeling for this year is thrive for my word of the year. And do you know what's really interesting is like I've been reflecting a lot on like what does the word thriving mean to me? And what does that look like in practice, like, and also in the embodiment of the word? Because, like, going back a year, if anybody's been with us from the start, last year my word was nurture. And it was something that, like, sort of carried me through, and I was able to connect with the energy of that in so many different ways. In ways like of looking after myself and my body, my mind, my spirit, but also like my creativity as well, like nurturing that part of me. And so it's really shown up in a lot of different ways, like having that word as like an anchor for the year. And so this year, I'm really feeling like, because I think astrologically, like you pointing out as well, like there's been a lot of big shifts. And with the year of the snake and with all of the retrogrades and everything that we had in 2025, it was a really internal energy for that year. It was a lot of like, what are you releasing? What are you shedding? What are you transforming within? And then we're going into this year of the horse, which is also like aligned with astrological shifts. Like we've got Neptune moving out of Pisces, and then we've got Saturn also moving out of Pisces next month into Aries, which is moving from this very sort of spiritual, inner worldly energy into Aries, which is like the fire starter. They're like the first in the zodiac to like get out the gate, and they're like, fuck yes, let's go, let's like make our dreams happen. And so it's like, I'm really feeling that this, like in the next couple of months, it's going to really be February, March, that we really start to notice a shift in energy. So what I'm feeling is like, okay, we've had this like inner worldly looking after our inner needs and balance and all of that. And now it's almost like, okay, now it's time for that to manifest itself in my outer world. And so that to me, when I think about thriving, it's almost like, okay, what can I create through my embodiment of that word thrive? And I've not like completely 100% nailed that down. I think it's going to be a discovery. And that's what I like about having the word of the year, is because I feel like it's something that develops over time, and you find new ways of like working with that energy, and also like what that word means to you and how it shows up in different like ways in your life. But I feel like thrive for me, it's like it's connection. It's also like thinking about a garden, you know, a garden that's thriving. And Gail and I have talked a lot about like being like rooted and planted and all of this good stuff. And for me, it's like really thinking about, okay, what are the roots that I need to put down in order for me to grow into who it is that I know I can be. And that's not to say I'm not good enough or anything like that, but it's like giving myself the right environment, the right ingredients, the right nutrients is the word that I'm looking for. I was like, it was on the tip of my tongue there. The right nutrients for me to blossom. And like, I really like that like vision of a garden when I think of the word thrive.
When you were sharing there, in my head, I was like, this is so funny when you said garden, because in my head, when you were talking about your word for last year and then this year, it's like last year you were the seed that was planted in the earth, and it was like cocooned and it was really warm. But like, you know, in order for that seed to actually start to, because like if you think of the image of a seed as well, it's like the roots start going down and then the little bits start coming up, and it's like so I'm in my head, I'm like, last year you were like this little seed in the earth and you were getting nourished and like all the things you need, and you're starting to grow. And then this year it's like your head pops out and it's like you're like, I'm thriving. I'm like, literally anybody who's not like on video now, I'm like, it's like you're popping out. It's like, ah. Oh, this is like some sort of like
I love it
interpretation.
so
Like,
much.
ah.
Do you know
That's what
what
it was, yeah.
Do you know what's so mad, right? I've been doing a Reiki healing every night as I go to sleep as my meditation. And last night, it was a Cancer full moon tonight, and I'm a Cancer rising, so I'm very connected with the energy of the moon. But I was getting loads of these visions, and they were all like connected to like earthly things. Like one of them was, as you were talking there, it was literally like seeing the grass sprouting up out of the ground. It was like I was like really close up, and I was seeing like the sprouting of the grass, and it was so green and vibrant. And there was also a vision of feet balancing on a disco ball on a bed of grass. So the grass again was like really vibrant and green, but it was like this disco ball, and then it was almost like just my legs balancing on this disco ball. But I was so still, and it's like, to me it really spoke about like balancing that like fun and joy and like dancing and all of that good energy, creativity, with that like planted, grounded feeling.
It's also like reflection. If you think like, what does a disco ball also do is it takes light and bounces it out and expands it.
And I could see in the vision, I could see also the green of the grass on the disco ball as well. It was like they were complementing each other, almost like this little dance that they were doing together. So that is really cool that you said that. It's like, yeah, it's almost like confirmation that yes, it is what I thought it was. Sometimes it's just nice to have that in your environment, eh? But yeah, I love that. That's sort of like,
Yeah, because it's also like if you think like you were saying anyway, naturally you sort of thought about building on what 2025 was for you.
Yeah.
So it's um that the that kind of growth out, and it's that kind of like pushing upward. And if you think of like, I always think as well, like the analogies are helpful when we think of some of these words, like you were really saying, I mean, like how you embody that. And
Mm,
sometimes having a visualization is super helpful because it helps you really connect to it. And then that sort of thriving of this plant, it's like it's a continuous, it's a growth, and it's coming
yeah.
out and getting bigger and stronger. And there
Yeah.
may be flowers and there's more leaves, and it's like it's an aliveness, isn't it?
Yeah. And I love that too because it's almost like if you think about like even a flower or a plant, it goes off in different directions as well. It's not always just this one thing. It's like it's there's so much life to it, and I think that's the thing with Thrive for me. It's like there's so much possibility. There's so many different directions, and I think I don't know. It just really spoke to me. So yeah, I'm excited to see how that sort of plays out over the course of the year. But how about you? What have you landed on? Are you doing one for the
So I
year or
don't
just one?
have I don't have a word of the year. I thought last year I might have had one, but I didn't. And I think because I still have my core desired feelings or values, like bliss, passion, and lioness, and I still feel really connected to them, and how they're sort of like woven into like my being. Do the Donna Ashworth words to live by, which was where the kind of and it does she does ask you like at the beginning what do you want to call more of in, and I think that's where a lot of people choose like a single word.
Yeah,
Um, but I've put obviously more of like my bliss, passion, and lioness, but I've got like
love
freedom,
that.
vibrant, creative, fierce, authentically me, invisible. Um,
Ooh,
and then so I don't have a single word, but then she asks you to pick a word for each month. Obviously you can or you can't. But for January I've picked the word rooted because I was quite just that whole thing I was saying there about like not really wanting to like because I was like what so when you pick a word for the month it then asks you like it's really good the little journal thing because she obviously introduces each month and then she talks so she said as well which is a month January's a month of rest and regeneration. Now is not the time to rise, it's the month she uses to slow down and reflect on what she wants to focus on for the rest of the year. um and I like so for me January I thought because I was like oh and I quite liked she used the word regeneration. But I was like, I still feel like, to me, I can sort of feel like the fizziness of, because in numerological terms, we've moved into a one energy year at the start of 2026, um, from a nine. And so I can feel the fizziness of new beginnings and like that's like full
yeah,
energy. And so I was like, I felt like I wanted to capitalize on that rather than sort of go inward into more of like a resting type of phase, which is why I
yeah,
thought rooted worked for me because like that was and it says because you answer the sentence I hope this word will bring in and I've said more grounding into this home and life here because obviously that's me now in a different home and that's us here like this is my life now so there's a
yeah,
rootedness around connection to place and also I said I want to use it for myself to feel into who I am like here and now and plant seeds so I did use that analogy a bit and I was like it feels like it's a starting point for the year to sort of slow down and connect. So it's strength from the earth to expand and flourish. Um,
that's a good in.
yeah, I just wanted to share something. So I was laughing because I connected with Sam and Nina the other day from my human design team, and we were chatting. And Sam she got the Donna Ashworth book for this year as well. And I was laughing because there's a section that says on difficult days I'll remind myself, right? And so Sam shared what I'm sure she won't mind me saying what it was, but I think she used something more around like because I've written down one of mine is this too shall pass. So it was kind of that ilk around, like I'm stronger than I think. This is happening for me, and like like the really nice sort of like um type, the phrases that we'll often use,
Yeah,
and sometimes you're just like,
yeah,
ah, fuck that. My first bullet point, right? On difficult days, I'll remind myself, I am a fucking superstar. And then
Yes
I
to
was
that.
like, I
Love
know
it.
and it was funny because it's a truth bomb that's on my notice board actually, but it really caught my eye and I was like, on difficult days, I need to remind myself of that. And then my second bullet point, before all the kind of the nice ones around, this too shall pass and da, 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 is the second one is this is my zero fucks era. And I was like, 'cause I know we both have followed Tiffany, can't remember her second name, Tiff,
Partner.
from Project Me stuff, and
Mm.
she often does like zero fucks given, and it's a reminder around boundaries really. So
Yeah.
yes,
Oh, that is so cool. I heard the song when I was like teenage years. The song that got me through was You're a Superstar. So reach
yeah,
for the sky.
I
That
do.
one
That's on my playlist. I love when it comes on. I'm like, oh
was such a
yeah,
bop.
mm,
Love it. It always makes me dance. The other thing as well, when you were
absolutely.
talking about like the regeneration thing, like I totally get you on that because I feel like regeneration to me speaks about like death and rebirth in the tarot, and it's really like that's I feel like that's what 2025 was about. It was about this like transformative energy, and now it's like we've got all this inner work that we've done. It's like how do we put that into practice with all that we've learned about ourselves and about what we actually want out of life. I feel like 2025 was quite revealing.
Yeah, I was sort of reflecting on, don't know, like, it's always a nice time of year to reflect back on the prior 12 months and, like, what's happened. And, like, I've had a lot of change. Um, and it was funny, I think I messaged you that I was like, I woke up one day last week, like, because we properly moved in the Saturday before Christmas. And then I went back up to Scotland for like 3 nights or something, and then
Yeah.
came back. And so I was like, there was the Saturday and then Christmas Eve. And I think in between Christmas, I just sort of woke up at one point. I was like, this is my life now. And I think because there's been such flux, it doesn't feel like retrospectively, I suppose it maybe doesn't seem like a lot of flux, but moving out of a one home, moving down, doing a bit of like up and down, then being in Bob's house, and then being a bit more up and down, and like stuff's in storage, stuff's not in storage, and sort of scattered and flux, and then I was like, oh, okay. And it was a really weird thing because on one hand I was like, yay, this is it, we're here. And then on another I was like, oh, okay, all this stuff I've been talking about, now is the time. Um, and it's funny, isn't it? When we're in such a period of change, we get caught up in that change and we're sort of like anticipating the time when the change sort of settles or like whatever has been changing stops changing and then we move into a new phase. And I was a bit like, okay, this is money where your mouth is time. All the stuff I was like, right, well, I haven't had a chance to really focus in on this bit yet because of like external factors. Um, so it's kind of like, right, okay. And that was where I was in, why rooted I thought came to me because I'm at risk of trying to do a million things at once because I'm like,
Mm,
well, my situation's now changed. I've got some stability back. So now I need to do all of the things. But I'm like, I don't need to do all of the things. And actually, now is
yeah,
not the time to do all of the things. Now is the time to get your connection to place back, get strong roots, start putting things out there, a recognition that you don't suddenly just have community. Like, so it's
yeah,
and the more I have solid foundations, the more then like that's allows me to sort of show up as myself. But it's a funny time of year, this sort of month, isn't it, really?
it is. And it kind of feels like there's a lot of expectations from the world around us and how we're meant to move forward and everything. And I think it's
Hmm.
just really tuning back into yourself. Like I had a really beautiful conversation yesterday. I was out walking Freddie, and this is like, I just love the serendipity and the synchronicity of everything. Me and Freddie were out a walk, and as we were going along, like the sun was starting to set, and it was a stunning sunset. It was bloody freezing, but there was a row of benches, and I was like, I'm going to just sit down for 5 minutes. I'm just going to be present, just watch the sunset, not take out my phone and take pictures and all that, just like be here. And I walked past and there was one bench that caught my eye, and the guy who's the plaque that it was for was Fred Day was the name. And my dog's obviously Freddie. And I was like, well, that's a nice synchronicity. And I was like, right, Fred, let's sit down and we'll sit with Fred for a few minutes. So sat down on the bench, and shortly after there was a couple of women that came by with their kids. They were standing nearby chatting, and I was just like looking out watching, because it was over the sea as well. It's a beautiful spot. So I was like just soaking up the atmosphere, being like, don't earwig. Sometimes you can't help yourself. But anyway, they parted ways, and then the lady said to me, she was like, oh, do you mind if my daughter says hello to your dog? She loves dogs. And I was like, yeah, go on. So lovely, lovely wee girl starts talking to Freddie. Freddie is not a huge fan of being petted by people that he doesn't know, so he's like skirting around. But anyway, she's petting him, and I start talking with the women, and it turns out that she is a coach, and she holds women's circles for women who are wanting to be more connected to their cycles, so like their inner cycle, but also connect with the seasons. And she started telling me about how she often likens us as women to trees, and it's just such a cool and like synchronicity. They were talking about this whole like us feeling like we're planted, like we're rooted, and it opened up this really lovely conversation around like connecting with each other as well, because like the trees, you know, their roots go into the earth and they go out and they connect with all of the other trees in the area. They're all supporting each other in their times of need. No questions asked about like, what is it that you need? It's like, okay, so and so over there is struggling, so let's send them some energy, let's send them some nutrients. And we just had this like really, really beautiful open conversation. Do you know, like when you meet somebody and when you're in the company of somebody where you're just like, there's no like putting on a show or anything, there's just literally holding space for each other. It was just a beautiful, vulnerable, open and real conversation, and I just felt so grateful. And it was like one of those ones that it just like, it's also like that sign that you're in alignment, because it's like you're attracting in then these energies. And she said, it's so funny that you've sat down here. She's like, that's my car. It was literally just behind. And I was like, of all of the benches that I could have sat down on this whole stretch of beach, I could have sat anywhere, and it was that one. And so it was really cool, and I love the synchronicity of that, like us talking about the rootedness and the seasons, and really like listening to your body, listening to what you need at that time. And we talked about wintering as well, the book. Like she was saying that she'd read the book as well and she loved it, and how we're still in winter, and it's like there's so much pressure in the world of like, oh yeah, like with Christmas as well, it's like, you know, that go fast energy of like loads of socializing and staying up late and all these kind of things. And that was not my reality for Christmas. I was like the complete opposite of that. But yeah, we were talking about that whole slowing down and really being connected to the fact that it is winter. Like, you know, the days are shorter. It's time for us to rest and like prepare ourselves energetically, mentally, physically, emotionally for the time ahead. Like when it is time to go, when it is time to take like leaps of faith and big action and all that kind of thing. And that doesn't mean that we don't need to, or we don't get to take steps in that direction. And that's what I keep reminding myself. It's like, you know, keep putting in energy. It's like that Seven of Pentacles energy in tarot. It's like keep investing your energy in the things that are going to build that long-term stability and foundation for you, the things that really matter to you. But it's like, it's also been like, you know, you don't need to go out and make all of your dreams come true right at this moment because we've just landed in January. So it's like, take the pressure off yourself. And
so it does feel a bit like, hey, we're like, oh,
yeah,
right, okay, I got everything by the second. It's like,
yeah,
I know. Talking of tarot, do you want to see what the cards have got to say about the
Ooh,
conversation we've just been
I
having?
know, yeah. I was shuffling earlier.
What deck have you picked?
I've gone for the Luna Sol tarot today.
Okay.
The Luna Sol was speaking to me, maybe it's because it's been a full moon as well. That it's like, and it's sunny today.
I
But it's
feel
like
like
that
I've not
light and
been
shadow.
on the tarot bandwagon for a wee while. It was good to do my 12 months thing.
Mm,
Um, but like I think that's where I'm quite pleased about, oh, something's jumped out.
somebody's
Being
jumped out.
back, like, or being like, okay, this is where I am now, because it's, I can get my decks somewhere nice and I can look at them, and
Yeah.
whereas like setting things in a box is always quite tricky, really. So
I hadn't actually asked the question. I will get to the card that's come out, but I'm going to ask Universe, what is the message that the person listening most needs to hear at this time? What is the guidance that you've got? Do you have another card wants to pop out? Or if that was the one, Universe is like, nope, that was the card. Sometimes you don't have to ask, it just comes out. So, Ace of Cups on the bottom as I stop shuffling there. Ace of Cups, and the card that jumped out is the beautiful Page of Wands. And I love the Page of Wands in this deck because it is such a creative energy. They've got on this really cool coat that's like all different patterns and lovely and colourful. And there's fire there at the bottom, and there's mountains in the background. And it's like ready to go on a creative adventure. But this is like the start of something. It's the spark of an idea that you're like ready to go with. I feel like you want to say something on it. What came to you
as soon as
immediately?
I saw that picture, the thing that came into my head is like, it's like light a fire under your arse, like
I fucking love that.
shoot a rocket up your arse, like that type of energy
Yeah.
where it's like, it's very, very Scottish, isn't it? Just with where the fire is underneath the person, it's like that kind of phrase, isn't it? Where, you've got this, like, I suppose it's a bit like the ace energy, isn't it? It's like, if you don't do anything, you've got to like ignite the fire. Like, well, the fire's going in that
Yeah.
picture, but it's like, you know, get going.
Yeah. And take that action, because the Page of Wands is action. And it often feels like it's this really youthful kind of, it can be seen as a bit immature because it's like you're learning something on this journey, but it's the start of it. The page moves on to being the knight and then the king and then eventually the emperor, empress. So it's starting out with something. So if there's a spark of inspiration, it's like let that fire, let the embers start burning and fan the flames through the action that you're taking. And there might be some hurdles to overcome in the process of that. But I'm really getting this energy as I look at this, and I've never got this before, but it's an energy of like awe and wonder. Like the face, I've never really noticed that before, but their face is like facing up, and it's like, there's a whole world ahead of me. What can I explore now?
That's
And
quite
it's just,
that childlike energy, isn't it? From
it
like the page.
is.
It's like, because like kids are often so curious and they look through they have a different perspective, and they don't
Yeah.
have all the baggage and the conditioning, and so that kind of like fresh childlike curiosity and perspective can be like really support you on the journey.
Yeah. I also feel like there's a message about like letting your self-expression show in like how you even dress yourself, how you do your hair, your makeup. Like this
I
person
feel
has
sometimes
pink
you're like
hair.
literally in my head, Sandra, because like can I just share this? Because like obviously we're on video and I can see myself, and I was like, I've been thinking whilst I've been watching us, like I was like, I could have done with putting a little bit of powder on today because it's a little bit shiny, and then I was like, my nose, I could have do with like maybe, and what this thought then went on with, and it's something that I've been musing over the last like little bit, is, and we've talked a bit on this before, like when you work from home or you're in one environment, it's like, who do you get dressed for? Who are you doing this stuff for? And like when I was like an early teen, so maybe I would be more a night rather than page energy per se, but like loved always doing my hair, makeup, like that expression, and I would sit and I would practice and I would do stuff, and like I can't even begin to tell you how many videos on TikTok I watch on hair transformations and makeup, right? And so it's like it's really interesting that this has come up, and the bit part of this for me when you're talking about that, that's why I'm like, Jesus Christ, are you in my head? Can you read my mind? What it's also been making me think, like part of 2025, and we have spoke about this a bit before, is like it's not just about like maybe who do you want to become, but it's also what part of you do you want to reconnect with, because part of sometimes who we want to become is part of who we've lost in the past.
Yeah.
And so some of that for me, weirdly, is that, you know, some of that creative energy, that outward expression, like the coat that the page is wearing, it's a very vibrant, personal, and it's self-expression. And so I just wanted to share that, apart from the fact you're a mind reader. I was like, how the fuck did she know that? I was sitting thinking this.
Telepathy
Sorry,
is
I did
strong
interrupt you there,
today.
but I just, well, I suppose underline or reinforce the bit you were saying there about that kind of physical, outwardly representation of yourself.
Yeah, yeah. And I love that. And that's the thing, is that the Page of Wands can be about that reconnecting with that energy. Because this is the thing, especially when we get these court cards of like pages and knights and queens and kings, you know, it's about like you connecting with an energy, and that energy you've got access to at any time. So this could be an aspect of you that you feel like you've not connected with a lot. And it was really interesting because as you were talking there about like seeing yourself on camera and feeling like, oh, I could put a bit of powder on, I could do this and that, I was really drawn to the Ace of Cups at the bottom of the deck, because it's like when it comes to our outward expression and how we're showing up in the world, when it comes from a place of the Ace of Cups, it's coming from that place of self-love. And it's like, I'm doing this because I love myself, because I want to be kind to myself, and because this feels like a really nurturing, loving thing to do for me. It's not necessarily about how other people are seeing you. It's more about really how you see yourself. And so it's like, when it comes to, I feel like I want to add there, when it comes to how you are showing up in the world, are you doing it for other people or are you doing it for yourself? Is it coming from a place of, I'm filling my cup here and this is something that I'm going to do like for me, and that will then shine out. And it's like, I think there's like this pressure that we've got from, you know, this society at large, is like, be your best self, and I'm all for being your best self, right? But there's a lot of pressure for that to look and appear a certain way. So it's like, it's figuring out what that really means to you and how that actually shows up in your life, and how you like even get ready in the morning, like you're saying about who are you getting ready for? Are you getting ready for you, Ace of Cups, or are you getting ready so that other people, you know, are seeing you in a certain way or whatever? But I feel like there's like, I keep coming back to this energy of having more fun with your, like how you're dressing and how you're doing your hair and how you're moving through the world. Is like, there's a lightness and more fun with it, as opposed to it feeling heavier. Like it's so colourful. So maybe there's a need for some more colour in 2026 and getting a fire up your arse.
But it's true. I think
I like
sometimes
that.
it's like sometimes when I work with a client around trying to figure out like your signature style, your external identity, it's actually sometimes it is helpful to go back and to
Yeah.
look at, how did you express yourself as like, a kid into teenage years, and then teen into adulthood, and then like first jobs, all of that type of stuff. Is sometimes it's a reconnection, and then taking that and making it appropriate for who you are today. Because for a lot of people, or certainly for me, like I did have a lot more fun, and like the expression was probably slightly different. It's like, I think it's easy to slip into a more muted version of ourselves. And interestingly, we shared that TikTok with that weird Insta thing with each other about how like has colour been sucked out of the world more generally,
Yeah.
around the like beiges and whites and off-whites and muted tones have become a symbol
Yeah.
of affluence. And so
Mm.
in order to express, to sort of almost like or maybe like class, like as in, and so people have started to just like lose color because they think then that's an expression of affluence or society, a certain place in society. But in doing so, we've just rid ourselves of this vibrancy and the joy that we get in color and what it can evoke in us, the playfulness, or like being brave in our houses. And I laugh because like we're decorating. I mean, this room's decorated by the previous owner, but like the colors we were putting into our house, and like some of it's just paint, it can be changed in the same way as it's just hair. It will grow out, it will
Yeah.
change. If you feel really bad, you could get a wig and cover it. Like our
Yeah.
makeup,
Or
it's
shave
like
it
you can
off.
put it on and take it off. Exactly. And it's
Reminds me
not
of a cup.
permanent. And I think that's the
Yeah.
thing. Sometimes we've become a little fearful that, and also then what do you distill that back to? Why wouldn't you step out the house wearing, or like dyeing your hair, like the thing you've always wanted to do? And it's a fear of judgment. But then so if you can work, and then maybe that's the thing. It's like, well, maybe this card's also giving you now the opportunity to think about, well, what would be my coming from myself, rather than, and maybe coming from yourself is wearing the multicolored jacket, the hat that's on the head with the flower coming out of it on the page of wands. But actually what you're doing is you're wearing a black and white version of that, and it's all grey
Yeah.
tones, and it's not who you really are. And so maybe the thing isn't actually about it, is maybe the thing is who you want to be, and actually what would benefit to work on is overcoming the whatever is stopping you, the fear, the barrier.
Mm. And that could be a whole other episode, eh?
I
So it's
know.
like, what's in the way? And I also think that there's like the inner critics coming up for me. Like
Yeah.
it's almost like identify who that voice is in your head when you think about, putting on a certain thing or going out and dressing a certain way. Who is the voice? Find out, pinpoint who it is, because once you can actually identify that, normally it's somebody from our childhood that criticised us, which is not great, but it just is what it is. And once you can identify that, you can be like, okay, like, thanks for your input, but no thanks. And then just like acknowledge it, let it go. And then it's like building that self confidence when you actually honour what it is that you want to do for yourself. It's building that confidence step by step, item by item, that feels that little bit risky, a little bit out there. Like, I remember really strongly feeling that when I buzzed my hair. Was like, that for me was like a huge self confidence move, because this was like, okay, I'm doing this for me, it's not for anybody else. And then it's like, what's then the sort of knock on effect of that? That impacts then other areas of your life. And then you start to take more creative risks. You start to trust more in your creative inspirations. You start to go, do you know what? I'm going to do it, because you've built that confidence step by step along the way. Confidence is not a thing that just happens overnight, it comes through practice.
No, it is not.
And it's not always easy.
No,
It's such a
it's not that.
practice.
It's one of my wishes that, and it's been on my list for like the last 2 or 3 years, is to really get back, because like your signature style isn't fixed. You don't have to have the same thing forever in a day. You can evolve it and change it. We change as people. Things influence us. Our circumstances are different. So, but it's on my list again this year, and I obviously moving home as well has been a good opportunity to go through like all my wardrobe and what is connecting, what isn't. And there's things that I've like I got rid of, and then there's things that are still there, but like I've put them on again. I'm still a bit like, I'm not sure. So,
Yeah.
and it's I always say to people, it's evolution, not revolution, and that slow
Oh, I
incremental
like
step.
that.
Yeah, I just think because like our psyche can't deal with, like, see if you just suddenly ditch your wardrobe and the next day, and that's why even things like, if you think about like haircuts, like like what you did was such a drastic change from what you had before. Like I bet every time you caught yourself in the mirror for the first few days after, you're like, oh, fucking hell, who's that? Like,
It was like a good
because
month. Yeah.
yeah, because like our psyche takes a while to catch up. So if you do something that is really drastic, it can, dependent on how you've got to deal with the consequence of that, and that can sometimes be a little overwhelming. And you might be dyeing your hair a different color, And so it's, these are the things which make it a little tricky. We take a while to adjust our psyche to catch up. So if you can do small incremental steps, it's easier for us to really transition into something fundamentally different. When you do it in one step, psychologically it can take a while, like sometimes it's too much for us to cope with, and so it's probably easy then to backtrack and go back to where you were before. So evolution, not revolution.
Oh, that's amazing. I feel like we need that on like a poster to keep reminding us, evolution, not revolution. Step by step. Been feeling that
Oh,
with
it's the New Kids on the Block, step by step. That's probably my childhood day.
the oldies are the best though, aren't they? The oldies are the best, the catchy ones.
Absolutely,
This
absolutely.
this page also made me think of, like, I started sharing do you remember I told you about the anything but the scroll jar?
Yes, I saw your
Yeah.
TikTok on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I decided to share it because it felt a wee bit selfish keeping it to myself, and I thought it's a really cool little practice for people to get into for the new year. The page of wands like is reminding me of that too. It's like when it comes to our creative ideas and like the things that we want to do, and also connecting with the inner child. The inner child page of wands is like, what did your inner child want to do, and what were the activities that really brought them to life, what felt the most fun and the most exciting. And when it comes to our own creativity, what are the things that we've been putting off that we want to do. And just the act of writing them down on a list, ripping them up into bits, and then putting them into, I've got my little jar here, my anything but the scroll jar in there, is that then you've got an active interrupter. So when it comes to feeling like, you're in that habit of, I'm just going to scroll on my phone because I've got an hour, I'm just sitting doing nothing. Instead, you can interrupt that with something, reaching for something else, pulling out that other thing, and actually doing something that is, it could just be a small thing. It could literally be go and practice doing your makeup, or go for a walk out in nature and pick up some leaves that you like the look of and put them in a book. It can literally be anything when it comes to our creativity as well, because it's all interlinked. I think that's the thing, like the page of wands, it's like there's so many angles that we can look at this at, because our creative self-expression and how we dress and how we appear, it is connected to our creativity, to what we're creating in the world. Like, it's a way for us to express ourselves. Tap into what wants to be expressed within you. What is it that, almost like pluck it out, what is it that wants to be expressed in the world, and take action on it. Like the page of wands is the invitation to like actually do an action. And coming back to what Gail said, is that small incremental step. I heard the song taking it step by step, Whitney
Oh,
Houston.
right, yeah.
Brick by brick, brick by brick.
There's 10 years between us, Sasha. Obviously, New Kids on the Block, you were probably like, I don't know, 4 or 5 maybe, whereas maybe I was a bit younger. Have you used your anything but the scroll jar so far this year?
Do you know what? I haven't, right? And it's interesting that you're asking me that, because this is like, it's also coming back to the practice side for me. So this is a message for me too. My creation, I found, has been making the TikToks to share, but I don't want that to be a distraction, because at the end of the day, while it's not scrolling, it is a form of creation. And for me, it's also about like visibility. It's about being out there. It's about, sharing the ideas and the things that have worked for me in the past to support other people. Like, that's really what I want to be doing. So it's sharing the tools. So that is a part of it, but it's also like, how am I putting that into practice? And the jar came to me last year when I was taking a break from TikTok. I was taking a break from scrolling. I hadn't been on social media, I think, for about 6 months at that point. And I was in the middle of doing the Artist's Way. And the Artist's Way is wonderful for anybody who hasn't done it. I think we got into that in an episode previous. I can't remember which number, but the Artist's Way really helps you to reconnect with your creative self, with your inner child, with the creativity that you've sort of like shut a door on in the past. And I really felt like I was going through this creative recovery on that journey. And the idea for the jar came to me. It was just like an inspiration that came to me. And I feel like it came to me because I'd created the space, because I didn't have the distraction of constantly being on my phone all the time. So the idea came to me and I started acting on it after that. But I didn't get into like a steady practice with it. What I noticed was that because I'd been off social media for so long, it was like this sort of all or nothing, but then I felt like I wanted to replace the scrolling with something that I was creating. So for me, that was a big reflection for me when I looked back over it, and I'm like, why did I not continuously use it? And it's me still being in that creative recovery. It's allowing the creative parts of me to come out and not be perfect, to allow it to be messy, to like make things, create things, and for them to be messy, like for that to be okay. And so like over the course of the last year, I've definitely tapped more into my creativity than I have in years. And that's come through, like I've been writing poetry, I've been writing songs, I've been doing painting here and there, but I haven't been consistent. I haven't applied my will that I know that I have, my consistency and sort of practice these different areas and the things that I really want to thrive in 2026. So it's, for me, it's also like sharing the jar was also being like, okay, Sandra, this is time for you to put like money where your mouth is. It's like time for you to show up and for you to do the thing too. It's a bit of accountability, to be honest, for me. And sharing it publicly is like, okay, we're going to go on a journey together. And that journey also involves me being open and honest and vulnerable about like, I've not nailed this. I've not got it perfect. I'm still taking these little baby steps, step by step, out of my comfort zone when it comes to my creativity. And, you know, honouring the fact that it can feel a bit risky, honouring the fact that sometimes you don't want to share what you've created because it feels vulnerable. And like, I love what Julia Cameron talks about in The Artist's Way. She talks about like protecting your inner child effectively, who is, you know, coming up with these creative ideas as well, from the creative monsters, the monsters she calls them. So who are the people that are like judging the work that you do? Who are the people that are not on board? And it's almost like it's nurturing yourself through the recovery process and really being gentle with yourself through it and not expecting yourself to have it perfect and giving yourself the grace throughout it. So for me, I feel like there's a bit of a balance there, because I could go out on social media and share hundreds of things that I've created over the past few years, but that to me feels really risky. And what I don't want to do is put myself in a position that I'm like, I then withdraw again. So it's like, I'm just respecting that for myself, that it's step by step that I'm like coming out of this like creative closet where I'm like, okay, these are the things that I want to share. And it's confidence building in that. And I don't think that I'm allowing that to be okay for me. So that was a very long-winded answer to your question,
Right.
but I am going to be sharing what I'm pulling out of my jar.
Right.
And there's loads of different things on there for me as well. Like I've got quite a few spiritual things, like there's write a letter to my spirit team in there, and you know, do like a sound bath meditation, which I love. So it's like this balance of things that I know that are really good for me and that I enjoy doing as an adult, but also like with the creative aspect as well for my inner child. So it's like balancing those two things. So yeah, I'm interested to see where it goes, because I feel like there's a lot of potential in it. And I think it's the practice and it's the showing up for myself and being the example for people, being like, this is hard, and talking about it like I am with you. Like it's not always easy to express yourself and to share that part of you with the world and to be seen in a different light, you know? It's allowing yourself to be seen differently, loving yourself through the process of it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's
Are you tempted to make a jar yourself?
so I don't know if you remember I've done in February a couple of times, Self-Love February.
Yeah.
I did it one year when I was like, because obviously it's still Valentine's and all couple, and I wasn't in a couple, and I was like, well, the best person I can invest in is myself. And I did it a few years ago on Insta, and then I didn't do it. And one of my friends was like, oh, I loved following what you were doing on your self-love. And I was like, okay, cool. And I was like, this is the universe going, hey, Gail. And actually, so I created a jar. I think it's the self-love jar. And actually, my intention had been after the February to just randomly pull some stuff out. But I didn't. I feel like I've seen it at some point in my boxes. Couldn't tell
It's
you,
in
but
there
I've got until
somewhere.
February. It was interesting. It was quite good as well. Like, because sometimes doing things for like a protracted period of time gives you the opportunity to really invest in it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you sort of push through the resistance. Like, even if I think of like Mark the Month, or when I've done like my 40-day mantra practices, you start off quite enthusiastic, yay, and then like about a weekend you're like, fuck, this is shit. And like, why am I doing this? And like, because the consistency, especially for like me, I have an undefined will center, which is where, it's, if you have a defined center, it's easier to form habits or do
Mm.
things consistently and show up. Um, but I think I might have a look at it again. I mean, doing something daily, it was really weird. I was like, doing one thing a day just for like for myself. I was like, fuck's sake, I've got to do 28 of these. But actually, there was a range of things, because self love isn't necessarily, it's not just about gifting yourself things or time or whatever, but even just like the joy in giving someone else something. So I think there were some
Mm.
things in my, I think the first year I did it, like I gave, or maybe it was last year as well. Like I had to give somebody like some flowers just randomly, and I gave them to Meg
Oh,
from netball. And because I was just like, actually, do you know what, she's done so much and she does, so I showed up to one of the games with a bunch of flowers. She was like, what are these for? And I was like, just because, to say thank you. And actually, it's so
that's
nice
sweet.
because, like, see, like the feeling you get when you give someone a surprise and acknowledge them, and you're just like, because it's like a reciprocal love and
Yeah.
gratitude, and because you spent some time thinking, who am I grateful for? Why? What have they done that really helped me? Um, and so, yeah, there was things in there, and then there's like things like extra Kundalini practices. I think even things like letters to thing, even just like to take an hour out and just read a book. Give yourself
Yeah.
permission to sit and do fuck all, or watch your favorite program, and not feel the pressure of the conditioning that is around. So maybe I need to find the jar.
The
That
jar.
sounds
You could
that
create
sounds like,
another one.
but it's like, actually, do you know, because my intention had been to do something then, like, once a month, or if I felt like, I suppose it's a bit like anything but the scroll, but so it's like, well, we're like, scroll, 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 but I don't know what to do, because you're
Yeah.
like it's almost like it sucked your ability to
Hmm.
come up with an idea on how to spend your time. But then when you've got a jar and you're like, well, it's now up to the universe what I'm going to do, and
Yeah.
to make it happen. So
And that's what I
uh,
love about it is it's like opening up to the element of like surprise as well. And because you're not looking, you're just picking out and trusting that whatever wants to come out is the right thing for you in that moment. And then just following through on that thing. And I looked up some stats. I was sharing a TikTok and I was looking up some stats on like how long we spend on our phones on average. And I've kind of kept a track now and again on I've got the screen time notification that comes up once a week to tell me that it's either up or down. And sometimes I'm a bit like, uh,
turn that notification off on my phone.
you're like, denial. But on average in the UK, people spend 5 hours a day purely on their phone, which works out at 1,825 hours over the course of the year, which works out at 76 days, I'm sure it was. 76 24-hour days of your life
It's like
gone.
2 months, 2.5 months.
Yeah, 20% of your life if you spend 5 hours. And that's not taking into account if like you're watching telly or you're on an iPad or on your computer, because like a lot of people do their work on a computer as well. So like you think about the amount of time you're spending on a screen when like there's so many other things. Obviously work is something that we are showing up for anyway, right? But I think it's having that, for me, the numbers, looking at that as like it's a reality check, because personally I don't want to be spending 20% of my life on my phone, you know,
Quite
and there's been
sobering,
times
isn't it?
it's really sobering. And there's been times that it's been double that in the past. And that was like a big thing for me when I was taking that break from social media, to be like, okay, I don't want to fall back into habits like that because it is so addictive, like TikTok, for example, and the scroll. And I love it. I love it. There's like so many amazing people on there, right? The other day I learned how worm babies are made, and I'll not get into that. But the guy was so passionate and he was so enthusiastic about how worm babies were
Oh,
made. And he was like doing all the
that's so
actions and everything. And I was like, where else would I have learned that at 39 years old? Where else would I have learned that in the world? Like TikTok is like, there's so many people on there who are like so passionate about their thing. They're so enthusiastic about it. And the energy in that is just like, it is contagious. But then it's like, if it's not inspiring you to then, you know, do your own thing and share your own thing in the world, then it's like, how healthy can that be if you're just constantly consuming and consuming? So I really think that there's a balance between like I'm not with the jar. It's not about demonizing social media. I think social media is great, and it's also like a really good way to like learn stuff and connect with each other and things, right? But also, it's like, if you can use it as something that inspires you to take your own action in life, like that page of wands is like, allow it to inspire you and not get caught in that scroll. And I mean, even if you spend 1 hour less on your phone per day that you apply to something else, whether it is the jar or whether it's like a skill that you want to build, like learning a language or knitting or crochet or blowing glass, whatever it is, like, have something that you are actively creating in your life. And this could also be like your signature style. It could be your wardrobe. Like, this could apply to anything. It's whatever it speaks to for you. But I just think that like we're just losing so much of our lives to our phones, our devices, because they're so convenient and they're so handy. But if we don't interrupt that habit, it's like that time's gone. And you know, once we've left that is gone. Like, we can't get that time back. And I just like that's the thing as well with the word of the year to come back to, is like, if you have a word as an anchor, it's like, Sandra who thrives is not spending 5 hours a day scrolling on her phone. That's the reality of it. She's out in the world, she's living her life, she's creating, she's blossoming, she's shining, she's, you know, working on the projects that are really meaningful to her. And yeah, so I went off on a tangent there, but
Yes. It makes sense though. I think that's the thing, isn't it? It's
yeah,
like, it's not about one thing or the other. It's just about a nice balance.
100%, 100%. Yeah. And like, my vision that I had last night as I was doing my meditation is like standing on the disco ball, but also being grounded in the earth. It's like that balance.
I feel
I
that's a
feel
good
like that could,
point too. The disc standing on the disc ball feels like a lovely full
yeah,
stop. A
it does.
sparkling, shiny full stop to today's episode.
I know, I know. This has been so
Good to
good.
be back.
It's good to be
Good to be
back.
back, and lots of exciting things for
I
2026. Yeah.
know.
Until the
Let us
next
know
time. Oh
before you
yeah.
go. Let us know if you have a word for the year, what your word is and why
Yeah.
you chose it. I would love to hear that in the comments. Yeah, if you decide to, you know, do something with your hair or change the way you dress or create a jar of sorts or start creating something new, let us know. It would
Well,
be great
send
to
us
hear
some
from you.
inspo because,
Yeah,
like,
also
as I
that.
say, like I love words and I do sort of collect words, and sometimes then I'm like, something just sparks something in me, and then I'm like, that's going to be my word for whichever month. So
Yeah.
please share.
Share with us. And until the next time.
Thanks very much, everyone. See you later. Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you've enjoyed this and would like to keep us fueled for future episodes, you can buy us a coffee.
Or you can make a donation via the link below. It's never expected, but always appreciated. Thanks for listening.